proudest work. I've been saddled with fitting a pickup to this Yamaha Guitar Lely GL1. It's a 6-string uke, and this is going to present a few challenges. I'm pretty sure I can't get my hand through the sound hole, so everything's going to have to be done from outside, and the holes I need to drill for this are such that you will be able to see the pickup, unfortunately, coupled with the fact that the saddle is open-ended. You will see the pickup, which is a shame, but I think that's about 1.5mm wide, but I'm going to need a 3.5mm hole to be able to thread that through from over the top, and in fact the jack as well. So you'll be able to see the hole, or the edges of the hole, but anyway, you're going to be able to see the pickup anyway underneath the saddle. In an ideal world, I'd be tempted to route the saddle slot a little bit deeper, which would help hide the pickup. But the chances of me being able to reliably get a flat bottomed slot in that bridge while it's attached to the guitar, and not widen the slot in any way, be able to put a router bit through that without ever touching the sides and get it deep, the chances are almost zero. I think I'd prefer to use a chisel, but then the challenge is, how do you get a really flat, true surface for the pickup to sit on? So I'm not going to go there. I'm going to be taking 1.5 mm probably off that saddle, which is a shame because it's only 4mm deep, which means there's not going to be much saddle sitting in the slot. How stable the saddle will be and how upright, I'm not sure. It's not actually upright at the moment, but I think that's because the slot's being cut slightly angled forward, I think. I don't think the saddle is twisted, but I'm not entirely sure. We won't know this until we get the strings off and see how tight the fit of the saddle is. We need a good tight fit to get a good transfer to the pickup. The pickup itself, a Kala pickup, is a ukulele pickup, and the battery is down where the jack is, and it's not an end pin jack. We don't have end pins on ukuleles, so I'm going to have to route 2 square slots in the sides, clear of the end block, which will be about there, and the control, the preamp is up here, and the curvature is designed for a ukulele. I don't think an acoustic guitar pickup would be appropriate for this. It'd be too big and the curves would all be wrong. So we've got our challenges. I guess we better get on with it. A quick note about the tuning of this. It's actually tuned to standard pitch, standard tuning, and it didn't come like that. It was tuned, I think, a 4th higher, so I think it was A to A, not E to E. The way we achieved this is we took off the top string, and then we moved all the strings up 1 course, and then we added this rather now tarnished, I think it's silver coated, this classical string, heavy gauge classical string we added on the bottom. But if you notice how these strings are arranged, they've been reversed, because this string here used to be on the bottom, and there was enough spare string that we could move it up a peg. What is now the D string used to be the A string, but there wasn't enough spare windings to be able to move it up to here, so we've actually moved it down a peg, and then we put the new bottom string up here instead of down here. When I restring, it's so confusing if you're used to this being the bottom string and you suddenly find you're turning the tuning peg and nothing's happening. It's really confusing. When I restring this, I will be using children's classical strings for a half-scale classical guitar, and hopefully that will give us the correct standard pitch rather than the sort of the more ukulele pitch of a fourth higher. As I suspected, the saddle is actually quite loose. This could be a challenge. Incidentally, I should say I have already measured the height of the saddle above the bridge. It is 3.5 millimeters, or 3.4 if that's zeroed correctly, which it is. 3.4. So I've got to get that saddle back to that height after I've fitted the pickup. I've measured the action, it's 3 millimeters at the bottom and 2.25 millimeters at the top, so we've got to return that, so we will have to shave a little bit off that. I'm going to drill the hole here. I'm going to put it this side so that it's near the preamp, so we don't have it crossing the sound hole. And we're going to do it right at the end, and I'll start with a 2 millimeter hole and then we'll widen it. Now, I haven't gone through yet, but I've just realised that by drilling at that angle, yeah, I don't really have any choice here. When I widen the hole, I'm going to be basically drilling into the saddle, the bridge, sort of back here. But I don't want to have the hole too far. Yeah, oh well, I don't think it can be avoided. This is 2.5 millimeters, so it should still sit within the saddle. So far so good. None of this should really be visible at the moment. That's now wide enough for the pickup, but it's not wide enough for the jack. So for the next widening, we're for the first time it'll be visible at the top. So let's go up to 3 millimeter, just nibble at it. I realise you didn't get a very good view of that. This is the angle that I've gone through at. This is the 2.5 millimeter drill, and now the tricky bit, I've got to widen the hole just here, so for the first time it's going to be visible. If I can pull the 2.5 millimeter drill out. Yeah, I'm going to have to go up to 4 millimeters, otherwise I'm never going to be able to thread that through. And I think the chances of me getting... well, I can get my hand in the guitar, but being able to work with my hand inside the guitar is Yeah. I'm not so sure about that. Let's just have a look what that looks like with the saddle in. Yeah, it's not ideal, but we knew that the pickup was going to be visible. But hopefully now I can thread that through. My own design neck vise, a video of which you can find up there. Okay, got my centre line, and I think I'm going to have the jack that way and the battery this way. So I've just got to roughly mark where I want it, and then we've got to measure it all out. I'm not going to drill this, I'm not going to cut this square. It's going to have round edges to the holes. I'm just going to cut the minimum of material away. Worth remembering that this is very thin material. The drill goes through very quickly. I've decided the solution, as I don't really have any hand tools that will get in there, I'm going to use a 3mm, no, oh it's Imperial, me and Imperial again. I think this is a 1/16 of an inch, is that 1.5mm, down spiral router bit. I'll go around the inside first until I get the feel for how this behaves. So far so good. I've got my usual problem as a contact lens wearer, that when I stare at the work my eyes well up with tears and I can't see what I'm doing, which is a problem. I've actually done enough that I could just file the rest of it, but I'll keep going. I think my eyes have recovered. The masking tape is actually hampering things because it's masking where I'm cutting, because the masking tape itself is just flapping away and not actually cutting. I am just going to feather that with a file. You can take away material incredibly quickly with wraps and files on this thin ply. That's amazing. There's a little bit of tear out underneath, but I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's a problem. That should be, if I've measured correctly, just big enough. Okay, there's a tab at this end which I haven't allowed for. Is a pretty good fit. One down, one to go. Same scheme as before. Marked it all up, and I've got where I'm going to drill. Because I'm drilling because I'm going to radius the edges, and then I'll route it out. It's important to get this in the right place because the curvature doesn't quite match until you get about here, and then the curvature matches perfectly. So first up, we'll drill some pilot holes. I probably need to turn this round. You may not see me cut that out because I think I need to concentrate on this edge first, then turn the whole thing round or work from that side. But if I do that, I'll be blocking the camera. This is it's always compromising your work for the sake of being able to for the camera being able to see what you're doing. Not my proudest work. However, we are still within the lines, which is what matters. This files away incredibly quickly. It's so easy. I could probably have done this with just drill holes. Perfect. It's a faux binding. Pulled some of the paint away. You'll have to be very careful. I'm guessing this isn't low-tack masking tape. I think it was supposed to be. Yeah, that's fine. As marked. That seemed to go through a bit quick. I'm not going to screw that in yet because I've got to thread everything. So we have got to get this cable out of that hole to plug into this preamp. But we've also got to get the pickup through there, out there, into there, and everything together. So oh, nearly. Oh, so close. There we go. Right. That plugs in that way. Now we put this in here, and that will all go here. We're there. This is my fret leveling file, it's far more effective. Yeah, I've let it get a little bit off flat, so I'm just making sure it's absolutely Hopefully now we're there. Yeah, I may have just raised the action 0.15 of a millimetre. It's 0.3 of a millimetre out, but we'll see, because once the strings are pressing down it may actually squash that down a little bit. So let's get it strung up. Well, it's good to see that the tuner's every bit as difficult to use as other built-in tuners. The strings are currently bedding in and are anything but stable. I'm quite pleased that the action is exactly what it was before, so in theory nothing's changed. And the angle of the saddle is what it was before, which I guess is all I could expect really. It's not great, but it's the same as it was before. Much relieved. It will be a while before we get tuning stability. It keeps going out of tune, and will be doing. These are not good strings. I'm not a classical guitar player, but even I can spot really naff strings. Yeah, it'll probably be another 24 hours before this thing's stable. But I had a little bit of a panic to begin with. The low battery light was on and the tuner wasn't working, and I'm thinking, oh, well, well, I should have thought, oh, low battery, which of course it was. Fortunately, I did have the two 2032 cells needed for the thing. Obviously, these have been in it for years. I don't know how long this has been on the shelf, but yeah. But I swapped the batteries, and as you saw, the tuner works. But I plugged it into my little Yamaha amp, and nothing. And then, of course, I realised it mutes it when you're in tuner mode. So I had to click again. And we've got sound! Yay! Relieved. Oh, and we've got reverb. Let's mute it again. Mute. Lovely. Right, so there we go. Fairly straightforward in the end. As I say, I was a little bit concerned about the manoeuvring within the cavities of what is effectively a ukulele. I guess it is a ukulele, but I've done it, so very pleased. And I hope that was useful and informative and educational. Oh well. Anyway, see you in the next video. Bye.